participate. So again, our training today is brought to you by our partners over at Monterey County Works. And today we're so happy to be joined by Laura Kirshner, their business services specialist, who is here to share more about the resources available to employers like you. Hi, Laura.
Hi, thank you so much, Anna. Appreciate it. We always appreciate teaming up with CEA for these webinars. They're very exciting events for us. You know, we've got lots of services available, and we'll just touch on that briefly here. MontereyCountyWorks.com is our website, MontereyCountyWorks.com. We've got, in fact, a specialized recruitment going on today, transportation industry recruitment. I'll be putting that information, the link and the flyer in the chat. All kinds of opportunities for our employers to get involved with Monterey County Works and to connect with those very precious job seekers. We've got recruitment opportunities, job fairs. We have them, in fact, every week. I encourage you to log on to our website, MontereyCountyWorks.com, to review the list of our calendar events at the bottom third of the page. They are calendared out until the end of the fiscal year on June 30th. There's all kinds of incentivized training opportunities, on-the-job training, incumbent worker training for businesses to take advantage of to get you over the hump, to really make it easier for you to hire people, especially in those first 90 days for on-the-job training. We have our hotline, which we team up with CEA to make that available, and that's a wonderful resource for employers. There's just all kinds of different opportunities for you. We can post your jobs to our job page. We can post your jobs on CalJobs. We offer you the opportunity to get involved in our job fairs and our recruitments at no cost to you. So all of our services are provided to our local employers at no charge. So that's something that you want to remember when you're working with your workforce development board, either here locally in Monterey County Works or across the country. All of our services are provided at no cost and at no charge to you. I encourage you to give me a call here locally, 831-796-3341, or shoot me an email or in the chat here. I'd be happy to connect with you today. Again, thank you to our partners, CEA, and we're looking forward to a good session today.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura, and to your entire team for everything that you do for Monterey County area employers. We're so happy to partner with you. So now I'd love to introduce our trainer today. We have Keisha Hansen, who is our Learning and Development Director. So you are in wonderful hands, and I will give it over to Keisha.
Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you so much, Laura. Such important resources as we tackle the big topic, the kind of heady topic of what employers need today. Hopefully we can share some interesting tidbits, and we always welcome your wealth of knowledge and expertise as well. Feel free to put some information in the chat or ask questions. We'll do a couple polls, make sure you're engaged and not just multitasking. If you are joining us for the first time, just very briefly about California Employers Association. We are a human resource association serving employers throughout the state of California. We've been in business for over 80 years, and really our philosophy is to provide peace of mind with our services. So those could be compliance solutions. We do training such as this. We can do that on site. We can do it virtually just for your organization. We have other programs that we offer throughout the year, which I'll mention a couple this morning. So if any of that piques your interest, you can give us a call on that special 800 number designated just for you. And although we're not really doing a lot of compliance this morning, we do want to give our lawyers peace of mind and just remind you that this presentation should not be relied upon as legal advice. If by chance you are looking for an attorney, we do partner with several attorneys, and those are listed on our website. So if you find one that you might be interested in, again, call us at our 800 number, and hopefully we can connect you with them. So as I said, what employers need today, that's probably a topic we could discuss for days and days. But we're just going to touch on kind of what are the trends happening right now for 2025 in this ever-evolving workforce as things continue to shift. What are employers looking to do? What are they concerned about? We'll touch a little bit on recruiting in today's workforce. And as Laura mentioned, those really important initial days of an employee when you're just hiring them those first 30, 60, 90 days, the onboarding period. We'll touch a little bit on that. And how do we keep employees engaged? So these are some of the things that we've heard from our employers that we work with on a daily basis, some of the concerns and challenges that they're experiencing, and we've tied it into this presentation for you. So again, we welcome your participation, and I'm going to give you a first opportunity to just kind of ask you, what is top of mind for you and your organization? What, with everything that's going on in this world and the workforce, and these are just a few, you can check more than one, but what are you focusing on, or what's top of mind where you think you need to be focusing on, and need some answers or need some action steps? Okay, recruitment, all of the ready, which Laura and the Workforce Development Board at Monterey can assist with. We'll talk a little bit about that today. I mean, of course, it can be just everything, right? We have a lot on our shoulders these days, so I'm sure all of this can apply to us in different areas and at different levels. But this is what we're encountering, and this is why I kind of chose these topics, because this is what we hear from our employers. That it's really hard as we continue to experience so much change. How do we manage that? And our managers and supervisors are the ones who are navigating it and implementing the changes. How do we support them? Let's see, just trying to give everybody a chance. That's why I'm chatting away. Let's share those results. But as we talk today, just kind of think of the ones that are really priorities for you, and what can you take action on, that's specific to your organization and your culture. So 50% tied for employee engagement, upskilling and reskilling. I'm sure everybody's aware that we're seeing some gaps in skills. So how do we do that? How do we find some training for employees? How do we upskill if we're using technology and it's becoming automated? How do we reskill employees that might have less responsibilities with that automation? All of that good stuff. Employee engagement always continues to be a challenge. How do we keep employees engaged? We're still at an all-time low, according to Gallup polls that poll annually employee engagement. We're at about 31% really engaged, about 50% not engaged, so about 70% not engaged in the United States. And then we have recruitment. We'll touch on that, leading change, as we were talking, all tied. So yes, this is probably weighing on all of your minds. So hopefully we can share a few tidbits of what people are doing to kind of help us out, help us navigate this together. So a couple of reports that I observed and read about from Forbes and Gartner about the trends. And some of these may not seem like trends because it's been happening, that they're really kind of sticking. But again, that are really a focus for employers today is, as we mentioned, the reskilling and upskilling. And when you look at employee engagement, and we'll talk about that, but employees want to continue to learn and grow, especially as the workforce is shifting, at high speeds, right? We want to be able to keep up with technology. We want to keep up with the pace of change so that we're relevant as organizations and companies, that we stay relevant, and our employees want that as well. So employers are really putting a focus in on reskilling and upskilling, not only the hard skills that tend to be the technical skills, the engineering. AI is a huge commodity where there's a huge gap of not having the talent. So low talent, high demand. So employers are really focusing on how can we get that talent, and then upskilling, right? So that people stay relevant, not only for now, but in the future as well. So it's a huge component. And if you do invest in that, invest in the learning and development for your employees, that is something that will help retain employees, right? We don't want to stay behind the wheel. We want to stay on target. Another thing, which probably isn't going to come as a shock, but flexible work model, even though we've heard a lot in the news and many employers are experimenting with the return to office, but those companies that have the opportunity to provide hybrid or remote work models, employees really still want that. They got that taste of it during the pandemic. It helped create a little bit of work-life balance when people were working from home or only going into work a few days a week. Now, not all organizations are built like that, right? Many of you probably have frontline employees who need to be at the location on a day-to-day basis. So what flexibility are you providing? Because could that be flexibility in schedule? Another one that's creeping up, which we actually implemented a couple of years ago at CEA, is 4-day work weeks. And it started as an experiment with our organization. And we are a 5-day work week, and we have members and our clients that we need to serve Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. So we created a system where we have alternative Fridays off. And that was, I think we're in our 3rd or 4th year, and it's been amazing for employee engagement to have those 4-day work weeks and feel like you really do have a little bit of that work-life balance. Another shift that again may not sound like a trend, but it's really gaining some steam in terms of how it benefits the organization, is having a more human-centric leadership. And as we are becoming more automated, or AI is not only replacing some things, but also alleviating some of the routine tasks that maybe managers and some employees need to do, it increases that opportunity for us to take on more of a human-centered leadership, which requires empathy from managers, which requires really staying engaged with our employees, having those one-on-one conversations. And I talk to managers every day because we do a leadership training called LEAD, which is a 5-week program for new managers and seasoned managers. And one of the first things I'll always talk about is how much they have on their plates, that they just can't even have time to do those one-on-ones. Where do I find the time? Well, if we're strategic in our organizations about how we're going to utilize and adopt AI and relieve some of those maybe redundant or routine tasks, it allows us that opportunity to pursue that learning and development for our managers who really need those essential skills in terms of emotional intelligence, empathy, listening, communication, all of those things, which used to be considered soft skills, but we like to consider them essential skills because they really are essential to a manager, a leader's position these days. Obviously, we're seeing the adoption of AI, and companies are really focusing on how, with the adoption of AI, can we use any saved time to invest in the reskilling, upskilling, learning, and development for our employees. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about this, but boosting retention through onboarding programs. I've been a recruiter. I've worked with employers on recruiting and retention. And it's about 64% of employees will leave within the first 6 months if what was said during the hiring process doesn't align with those first 30, 60, 90 days, right? Employees will start to observe right when on day one, gosh, this isn't sounding like what was explained to me during the recruitment process. So it's really important to really look at your onboarding programs and make sure that you're really walking the walk and talking the talk and demonstrating what your culture is like, what it's really going to be like to work at that for your organization. So another statistic here, 84% of employees rank schedule flexibility to equal to location. So again, if you're one of those businesses where people really do need to be on site, is there some sort of flexibility with schedule or days worked or hours worked that can provide them some of that flexibility as you would with remote and hybrid employees. So another trend or shift is really a result of being a multi-generational workplace, right? We have so many different, all different ages, all different age groups, and we have some of our generations retiring. Our boomers are continuing to retire. Our Gen Z is coming in, adding into the workforce and being promoted and what we found is that different generations need different benefits at different stages in their life. So employers are looking at how do we tailor benefits to those different generations. 40% of our workforce are parents and are working are in the workforce. So do we have something for caregiving, some sort of benefit or flexibility, or even on site? When we have even older and more mature employees who are caregiving for their parents, what kind of needs do they have, or what kind of benefits are they interested in? So if you haven't done benefits or overall compensation survey to find out, maybe would be a good time to start. Really aligning that need or want for well-being in the workplace and aligning it with your company goals. I see a lot of companies wanting to serve the communities that they work within, and providing days off or time off independently for employees to choose which areas of the community that they want to serve or help, or even team initiatives for that as well. And looking for ways to improve. We know healthcare it can be exorbitant in terms of financial costs. So how do we help improve healthcare affordability for our employees? This is something that is really important for all generations. And lifestyle spending accounts. And this sounds like, oh gosh, Keisha, this sounds good, but we have a small organization. We don't have a huge budget. It doesn't have to be, but one thing that we do at CEA is we have a stipend, and employees can use this for any really reasonable purpose for what they deem is well-being or healthcare, for their mental, their physical well-being. We get a stipend each year. So that can be extending. Maybe I had an additional cost to my dental insurance, so I get to pay for that. Or maybe I always wanted to get rollerblades, and so I'm going to buy rollerblades. So it's not a huge amount, but it really shows a couple of things: that our organization is invested in us, that they really care about us, and that they want us to do something. They want us to be able to manage that well-being as well. So that's one thing that we've seen. And then also employers are really looking into, because especially living in California, how can we support our employees as they navigate their financial stability? How can we support them? Can we provide them 401k? Can we provide them opportunities for financial advisors so that they can really set themselves up for success? Any other things that you're doing at your organization that might be something new that others haven't heard of, feel free to put that in the chat. But it's about really looking out for all the different individuals that we hire, and seeing what they really need right now. So another thing, we talked about this skills gap, and these are a few of the things that employers have told us, and we've seen in the news that employers are really needing from employees right now. Obviously, we talked about AI, and that's a huge commodity, and it's a challenge to find people who are really skilled at that, but also those essential skills. And a lot of these essential skills we cover in our LEAD program, the program that we do for new and seasoned managers. And we're in a LEAD program right now. Our next one is coming up October 21st. And we bring, all different groups, different organizations. And one of the benefits of it for managers who, again, are carrying a heavy load, if you're a leader, if you're a supervisor, if you're in a position of leadership, there's a lot going on right now. It gives them the opportunity to share with other managers, and get their insights, hear what they're doing, hear what's challenging them, so that they feel a little bit united. Because when we hear from managers, many times they feel sometimes isolated, right? They're in charge of their employees. They're serving the organization and the company. They're a company agent. And sometimes it can feel a little isolated in taking all of that on. So that program has been a really success as a result of that. We hear from our attendees all the time. I really loved being able to work with and share with other managers from other fields. So some of the essential skills that employers are really looking for, conflict resolution, which ties in with communication, so integral, especially as we are having a shifting workforce in terms of hybrid, remote, all the different communication platforms. And again, just different generations working together. They're going to have different communication styles. Being creative in problem solving with all the change that we're experiencing, it's really crucial that we have critical thinkers who also can be creative in terms of finding solutions to the problems and challenges, which are going to vary due to different industries. But that is something that we hear over and over again. We need that critical thinking. We need to be able to have employees who can look for solutions instead of just, complaining about something not working or the change that is occurring. I mentioned emotional intelligence, so important. And if you haven't heard that, it's been a buzzword for a while, but it really is an integral part of building a more people-focused organization. So being self-aware is the key to emotional intelligence. Knowing what triggers you emotionally, knowing how people perceive you, knowing how you manage yourself and how you manage your relationship with others. And that requires, that effective communication. So communication, even though it's not on here, is an integral essential skills. And then just some of the other leadership skills that many managers, when they're promoted, aren't trained on or don't already possess those skills. And that can include managing projects, that can include that critical thinking, that can include being adaptable to all the change that we are experiencing. So things to think about if you are thinking about how, what should we focus on with our managers. But for the third year in a row, HR leaders are really focusing on the leadership and management development, again, because, certain employees are starting to leave and retire, and newer employees are coming in and taking their positions. So we want to have strong leaders within our organizations and businesses as we navigate all of this change that is occurring. So number one is HR is focusing on leader and manager development, investing time in either mentoring internally, coaching, external programs and training that they can attend so that they can be better skilled and better prepared to oversee and to manage their employees and staff. Number two is organizational culture, which is interesting as we talk about employee engagement. We talk about the roles and responsibilities of managers. One of them is to reinforce the company culture, right? Again, we talk about this during the hiring stage of what the company's like. Employees or applicants might ask us, well, what is your culture like? And sometimes even the managers don't know. And culture will arise no matter what as a default, but as an organization, how can we be more intentional with demonstrating our culture and really aligning what we do with what we say our culture is? So that's a focus for a lot of companies. Strategic workforce planning. What is our vision? What is our mission? This is something, again, when you're looking to recruit and hire, employees want to know, what is the purpose of this company? What's the mission? What's your vision? And how are you going to get there? If you haven't adopted AI or some of the new technology, how are you being strategic about it, right? Is it right for your organization? What do you want to focus on? So as, again, we develop more and more tools that can automate some of our daily functions and responsibilities, we'll have more time to be strategic and choose the right people to really plan what we want our workforce to look like now and in the future. Number four is one that you all posted that you're concerned, or its top of focus is change. There's so much change. How do we prepare our managers and leaders to navigate that change? How are we communicating the change? Sometimes it's out of our it's being imposed by governmental regulations that are happening within California. So we have to adhere to it. But how do we get the buy-in from our employees, which is so critical and so key? So we do a lot of training around change management with employers who are having challenges with that. because there is change fatigue. Wouldn't you say? We have experienced so much change in the last 4 years that we're all, not only employees, but as leaders, we're a little fatigued too. So being strategic with it. Do we really need to make that change right now? Did we think about everything and in advance? And are we really taking the right steps? And then another focus for leaders, especially in HR, is technology. Are we are we up to date? Do we need to look at our technology and so that we can again be relevant and be up to date with our competition and in the future? So important as we talk about all of that and what employers are doing, to take another look at what employees want at work. And this is from OC Tanner in 2024, and it's been in the news and it's been talked about for the last few years, but it's really withstood the test of time in that employees in today's workforce really do want that sense of purpose. They want to know that what they do at work matters. And sometimes we get pushback with this statement, oh gosh, I have employees who, are working in manufacturing, they're working on the line, what kind of purpose is that? Well, yeah, it is a purpose if what they do is contributing to the overall success of the company. What they do matters, right? So aligning that purpose of the company with the purpose of what the employee does, and how do you make sure that the employee knows what they do matters, is you appreciate them, you give them feedback, you provide support, and you provide coaching opportunities to let them know that what they really do is contributing to the success of the company. We mentioned flexibility, so that's not going away. People want that sense of work-life balance. People want to learn and grow, so the professional development, a sense of well-being within their company. When we experienced the Great Resignation, one of the biggest reasons employees were leaving was they were worried, does my employer really care about me? Do they really have my best interests at heart during this pandemic, during this crisis? And a lot of them decided, no, my employer really doesn't care about me. They really don't care about my well-being. So that's a real big focus still of employees. And then employees want effective leaders. They want more than just a boss dictating what they do. They want coaches, they want mentors, they want people that they can follow. So again, some of those essential skills are really going to be integral for those future leaders that you're building. These are just some stats. I'm not going to go over all of them just because of time, but this is from the Association of Training and Development on what people think is important. And employees do think that it's important to continue to learn, 68%. I'll just go over the top one while they're at work, and especially if it's necessary to improve their skills for their role. They want to stay relevant. They want to stay up to date with what's going on within their industries. 80% of employees going back to that coaching culture and that people focused culture, 80% of employees who've been coached by managers or leaders experience positive impacts, right? They get results from coaching, because when people are coached, they feel valued. They feel that they are really being invested in. And that, again, people care about what they do and how they perform. Another trend is that employers are increasingly hiring for skills first. And what that means is, used to be, really had to focus on number of years of experience and whether someone may have had a degree or not had a degree. But because we have new skills coming up every day, we want to be able to cast a wider net and find a more diverse workforce, find those people who really have those maybe niche skills that we really need. And so employers are starting to really focus on and highlight the skills versus maybe the years of experience or the degree, because maybe someone has developed those skills outside of academic education. Maybe they've grown those skills on their own, or maybe they've grown those skills within a previous company. So it helps employers really kind of cast a wider net and really focus on those skills that they really need and are integral. And I want to mention, because we do have a skills gap these days, CEA is sponsoring a webinar coming up on September 25th when Anna gets a chance. She'll put it in the chat. She'll give you a link. But it's a free webinar from the Department of Labor talking about apprenticeships. And I would imagine that apprenticeships are expanding now with technology, not, traditional maybe apprenticeships that we've had in the past, but they're talking about how to access apprenticeships and how to find out more about that. So that's coming up September 25th, and Anna will give you some more details on that. So I mentioned getting it right from the start. So when we're hiring, I believe it starts on day one. The first time you contact an applicant, you really want to set that good impression. Just as we expect from the job candidates themselves, we're starting to build idea and impression of that culture to that candidate. And if you really do have an effective onboarding process, it can boost retention of new hires by 82%. And again, it really concentrates on saying the right thing and demonstrating your culture, your mission, your purpose. So question to you, how would you rate your company's current onboarding system? This should be coming up. Do you have one? Have you considered it? Good. Okay, good. That's good. Average, not consistent, don't have one. Excellent. Because again, when you're in the hiring process, think about that as well. Who's involved, right? Are you all on the same page in terms of how you're highlighting the company culture? Are you telling applicants the right things? You don't want an applicant and tell them, well, you're never going to have to travel for this job. And then they come on the job and now they're traveling 50% of their time. Everything should align, right? Everything should make sense to that potential employee, and you want to give them again that positive impression, but an overall impression of what it would be like to work for your organization. So yeah, pretty good. 63% of you say pretty good. Those of you who are like average, not consistent, you may want to take a look at what do you need to tweak, what needs to improve. Because candidates are getting more and more savvy, right? With the internet, with their previous experiences, employees really want a company that they can believe in. So you might really want to spend a lot of time in thinking, what can we tweak? What can we improve? And I mean, recruiting trends, obviously easier to do virtual interviews, using AI to screen and ask some potential questions for candidates is new. When we were in the throes of that great resignation, people were really maximizing employee referral programs. But what has changed significantly in the last several years is that our job postings really needed to shift from our point of view to the candidate's perspective. It used to be, what does the employer want? But we really want to highlight, what do we offer, right? What does our company offer in terms of our culture, in terms of our benefits, and in terms of just kind of a view of what it would be like to work at that organization. And these are just a few that were mentioned during a panel for SHRM, which is the Society for Human Resource Management. And just as I'm telling you, number one was treat candidates as customers, right? From that first contact, make sure you're getting back with the candidates. If you have hiring managers who are doing the interviewing process as well, maybe check in with them. We've had employers tell us before that their hiring managers are keeping applicants for 4 hours when they were told maybe the interview was going to be 1 to 2 hours. So that can set an impression to people, or the hiring manager arriving late for the interview. All of these are giving an impression to that job candidate in terms of what it's going to be like working there. So maybe these are a few helpers or tips of what maybe you need to focus on. Again, using an employee referral program, looking at your website. What is the impression that you're giving if a candidate, because all candidates are going to go to your website, especially if you're not well known, they're going to go to your website to find some information. So what are you sharing? What are you demonstrating that highlights why they would want to work for your company? So highlighting company culture is an integral part when you're hiring, creating those realistic job descriptions, right? You want to have a list of what's required and what's preferred, designing an ad to stand out. And maybe if that's not your forte, maybe you recruit either externally or sometimes AI to help you juice that up. Our marketing team sometimes helps us with that, and they do a fabulous job. Speeding up your hiring process, right? Doesn't need to take months to get that position hired. If it's an entry level, management level, maybe it does take a little bit of time if it's a higher position within the company, but still employees really appreciate when you are responding in time, because again, it's setting the tone of what it's going to be like once they actually are hired within your organization. So just keep in mind the candidate experience really does matter. Don't be afraid to reconnect with paused candidates. And always, this is my experience as a recruiter, call, text, and email. We've got to do all the different, because most people, I don't know what the statistic is, but it's about 85% of people won't answer their phone if they don't recognize the number. So yes, we have to utilize all the modes of communication to actually connect with our job seekers. And then let's say you're successful and you've revised your job posting, you've got it nailed down, you've coached your hiring managers maybe who are a little bit lacking in their interview skills, and you've hired that person or persons. You really want to focus on that onboarding, and it can take between 30, 60, 90, can take up to a year for someone to be fully acclimated into their job, into their position. So we really do want to set the tone, and we really do want to be prepared. Pre-boarding as much as we can. We don't want to overload with information. If we all remember our first weeks with a new job, it can be overwhelming. And how much are we really absorbing? How much time are we really getting to meet people within the departments that we're going to be working? Who are we going to be working with on a regular basis? Those should be the people that we're meeting right away. Having a delegation so that it's not just up to the manager to do the onboarding or HR, it's everybody. There could be people who work in your department who've worked for the organization for years and years who can be a mentor, a coach, a peer buddy, and focus on connection times too, allowing that new hire to really talk to people and see what the organization's like, see what people do, learn from them. So gradually introduce that new information. And again, once they're on board, once they're within the organization, you should be demonstrating that culture that you talked about. You should be reinforcing it by your actions. So we've hired that person, we've done the onboarding, and now we want to retain them, right? We want to think of ways that we can engage them on an ongoing basis. And as I said, we're kind of at a low in terms of the state of the American workplace. 31% of American workers are engaged, and 17% of our workers, hopefully you don't have any of these, are actively disengaged. Those actively disengaged employees are those employees who are miserable, and they're sharing their misery with those engaged or more engaged employees. So that can impact that overall engagement. Obviously, it can cost businesses over millions of dollars, trillions globally. And really, something we emphasize in our management program with LEAD is that engagement is employees' relationship with their manager, right? That is a leading factor. They influence up to 70% of whether their employees are engaged or not. So again, going back to learning and development, can we provide them those tools So as you think about that and think about your teams, if you are in a position of leadership or just looking overall within your department, do you think your employees are surviving right now, just kind of, getting by, kind of experiencing that fatigue, maybe balancing between engaged and not engaged, or are they thriving? And OC Tanner did a report this year of what are the key elements of a thriving culture. And again, it goes back to that sense of purpose. What I do at my work really matters. And how I know that matters is I am recognized for that, right? Number 4, I have that sense of people appreciating me, um, acknowledging me when I do something well. I'm providing opportunities to learn and grow, um, to partake in different meetings and different and learn different skills. I have a sense of success with my team, with my organization. I have that sense of well-being. I'm provided different benefits or different opportunities that give me that sense of well-being, that I'm somewhere that I'm going to stay for a while. And I have that sense of effective leadership, right? We're there, and that's demonstrated again through that culture. And all of that will be elements that provide that engaged employee, right? Sense of purpose, sense of opportunity. And when people are thriving, when employees are thriving, they are 84% less likely to burn out, 30% less likely to leave the organization, 12 times more likely to feel that high engagement, and 7 times more likely to do great work. So how do we keep that momentum? How do we keep people engaged by looking at those elements? What are the things that are missing with our employees? And that takes communication, right? Communicating with our employees, observing our employees, creating that people-focused culture, prioritizing employee well-being, make sure that we're asking people how they're doing when we're having our staff meetings, when we're having our check-ins. What's going well for you this week, Anna? What are you feeling concerned about this week? So that we can help them. Create clear expectations. When people don't know what their expectations are, it's really hard for them to do a wonderful job. It's really hard for someone to be really engaged. So again, during that onboarding process, we really want to set up those clear expectations of what a successful employee looks like. Demonstrating empathy. There's a lot going on in our world these days. We need to look out for our employees, ask them how they're doing, have those check-ins. For some of us, it is our superpower to have empathy. For others, it isn't, but it is something we can develop along the way. So monitoring ourselves and saying, are we really being too task focused this week, or do we need to be more people focused this week? It's a balance. It ebbs and flows, but we need to pay attention to our employees to help create that people focused culture. Recognizing achievements, and again, providing those ongoing learning and development. So one thing that employers are increasingly implementing or just revising is having an official employee recognition program. How are we recognizing people? Not just the day-to-day, but just officially. So if it's something you do, you can share with us what you do and how you recognize people. But it has to be authentic. It doesn't have to be something like, oh gosh, we have to appreciate Keisha today, because, she hasn't been appreciated in a while. No, it has to be authentic and genuine. And it can be just sending someone an email and saying, gosh, I really appreciated what you did in the last meeting. It can be peer-to-peer recognition, but you want to make it personalized. You want to make sure that that person feels good about it, that it gives them a sense of satisfaction, and again, a sense of purpose. You do want to be equitable. You do want to focus on everybody and observe everybody when they are achieving things that need to be recognized and should be recognized. And it should be embedded in the culture. It should be that if I feel that my colleague is doing a great job, I want to recognize them. And I want everybody to know. So those are just a few of the things. I always love to hear what people are doing to recognize and appreciate employees on a regular basis. Now let's say you have some disengaged employees and they're really used to be top performers, but not their top. They're not performing at top levels anymore. One process that employers are using more and more is before people leave, and we do those exit interviews, which can be helpful to hear the feedback, but we can't do anything about it to get that person to stay. Employers are implementing stay interviews, and that's just getting that feedback from employees on what's working for them, what's not working, what do they need, what kind of support, what kind of coaching, what are the suggestions and ideas that they have that would keep them there. And I remember an article that Forbes did where they asked those people during the Great Resignation, what would have kept you staying within the company? And one of the main ones, which got 92% responses, was if my manager had more empathy, I would have stayed, right? So we underestimate the power of communicating ongoing with our employees, even those top performers. We want to stay engaged with them. We want to stay connected with them. And, creating a stay interview can help uncover maybe some of the concerns that we can help resolve and mitigate. So before we go today, some key takeaways is really employers seem to be really focused on skills-based hiring and professional development within the workplace because there are some gaps. How can we upskill? How can we reskill? Increase focus on employee well-being, whether that's with how we provide benefits or how we do flexibility, provide flexibility for our employees, really aligning clear expectations with the mission and purpose of the company and the values that we hold, and demonstrating that early, demonstrating that during the hiring process, as we're recruiting, asking employees, or telling employees, sharing employees, this is our culture. This is what we believe in right now. This is what our vision is, and this is how we achieve results within our company. And then knowing that an effective and human-focused onboarding can really boost retention, right? Think about that first connection with that job candidate. Think about that first day on the job. Make sure that you're having the username and login ready for them, that they don't have to wait 2 weeks before they get their technology set up, that you're introducing them to the right people, that they really know what their job is going to be, that you're not overloading them with information, that you're providing opportunities for coaching, that you're welcoming them into meetings so they really learn about the goings on of the company and organization. And again, depending on that person's skills from their previous employment, it could take up to a year for them to truly acclimate to their truly on board because it might be a different industry. You're going to have different policies and procedures. So really have that patience with those new employees. Really invest from the beginning in them. They're going to feel that sense of purpose right away, rather than just throwing a binder on the desk and saying good luck, right? So it's an investment. And again, if you are an HR, if you're the hiring manager, you don't have to do it alone. Recruit others, subject matter experts who can really help provide that mentoring and coaching that employees will want and will fully appreciate. And then staying updated with webinars such as this, staying future focused. How can we create opportunities where we're really planning and not just keeping up, but we're actually looking towards the future and we're putting some concrete plans in place. So as we're thinking about that, what is one aha moment or one thing that you heard today that you can take action on, whether it's employee engagement, whether it's leading change, so that you can retain employees and stay future focused as an organization? What's one thing you can take away and take action on? Love to hear it in the chat. And as you think about that, I will throw it back over to Anna to wrap us up.
All right. Thank you, Keisha. Let's see. I do have forgive me, my little window closed on me there where I have the link for you. There we go. Here is the link to that survey that I mentioned. You can either scan that QR code or you can click on the link in the chat. You can choose your own adventure there. But this is the link to that survey that I mentioned at the top of the hour. This helps us help you. So this is also one of the questions is what topic you'd like to hear about in the future. So this really helps you vote for what you'd like to learn on future webinars like this. So if you could take the minute, that would be amazing. I do want to give you your continuing education credits for those who are eligible through HRCI or SHRM. Trouble downloading the PDF. What I can do is I can pull the attendee list from Zoom, and then I'll just forward you all the handouts right after this. So give me a few minutes after we wrap here, and I'll make sure that I get you the set of handouts via email. I'm happy to do that because I know sometimes Zoom doesn't want to cooperate with downloading files. So I apologize for the trouble there, but thanks for sticking with us. If you are here for continuing education credits, your codes are going to be in the chat. So your HRCI code 715409, SHRM code 25-Q43DT. If you have any questions about what to do with the codes, I have these, I don't know if I'm eligible. We're more than happy to guide you. If you want to just reach out to us at ceainfo@employers.org, happy to guide you, or you can always call into that complimentary Monterey complimentary HR hotline provided by Monterey County Works, excuse me. And speaking of Monterey County Works, we just want to again thank Laura and your team for your generous sponsorship of this webinar series, as well as the HR hotline. And just thank you for all that you do for Monterey County employers. Make sure you check out their job fair happening today. Laura dropped the link into the chat earlier, and then their website I posted shortly before that as well. So we look forward to training with you all again, and I'll give you the last 5 minutes back into your day. Thank you all, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks, Keisha, for your time. We'll see you soon. And happy birthday, Keisha.
Oh, thank you.